Welcome to the deep dive, everybody. So, today is Thursday, March 19th, 2026. And, if you just look around right now, we are basically living in a sci-fi movie.
Oh, completely. It's wild. The technological milestones we're hitting are just like staggering.
Right. But at the exact same time, society feels, incredibly fractured. Like,
Mm.
are we actually mentally equipped for the tools we've built? That's really the question we're looking at today.
Yeah, and it's a deeply uncomfortable question to sit with, honestly.
It totally is.
Yeah.
And to explore this, we're looking at a specific source today. It's this short, incredibly passionate, almost manifesto-style text that recently dropped. It just ends with the initials MGM.
Right, MGM. And the tone of this piece is just, well, it's urgent. It's almost exasperated.
Yeah, it really reads like a plea, like a desperate plea for humanity to wake up and just align on basic reality before we cross this point of no return with all these new upcoming technologies. So our mission today is to dissect this. We want to figure out what the author means by interpolating science and religion and why they think we're running out of time.
Exactly. MGM is basically holding up a mirror to the human race and saying, look, your technological evolution has entirely outpaced your psychological evolution. It's a huge problem.
It is. Because to really understand the author's frustration here, we first have to look at the great juxtaposition, I guess you could call it. The contrast they draw between our high-level capabilities and our, everyday bickering.
Right. The gods of technology versus the bickering mortals.
Yeah, perfectly put. The text points out that we split the atom ages ago, right?
Mhm.
And today, we are literally installing data servers in the vacuum of space.
Which is still just hard for me to wrap my head around, honestly.
Oh, same here. And we're standing on the verge of AGI, artificial general intelligence. But then on the flip side, what are we actually arguing about down here on the ground?
The author points to debates about, like, the shape of the Earth, literal flat Earth debates.
Yeah, flat Earth and intense arguments over genders. And real quick, just to be crystal clear for you listening, we are not taking any political or social sides on these debates. We're just recording the examples the author used.
Right, exactly. MGM isn't trying to endorse a side in those specific culture wars. They're using them as a diagnostic tool to show the contrast.
Right. Okay, let's unpack this, because I was thinking about it like, it's like we're driving this hyper-advanced spaceship at light speed.
Right, I like this. Go on.
And the crew in the cockpit is physically fighting over, like, who gets to hold a crumpled paper map from a gas station.
That is a great analogy. What's fascinating here is that we essentially have the engineering capacity of a Type 1 civilization.
Right.
We're harnessing planetary energy and quantum mechanics.
Like the argumentative habits of early humanity.
Exactly. Our brains evolved to manage small-scale tribal dynamics, not global socioeconomic networks or AGI. So technology is moving faster than our cognitive hardware can comprehend it.
It's like a bottleneck, a massive system freeze. But the bickering isn't just annoying, right? The author links it to some really devastating consequences.
Yeah, this is where the text pivots from just pointing out our hypocrisy to highlighting the true cost of all this arguing, the human suffering.
Right, because MGM explicitly states that the arguing itself isn't the core issue, like friction happens. But it's the, quote, guilt, fear, and shame that comes with it.
And that creates what the author calls endless generational trauma.
Yes, and this trauma leads into an economic paradox that it honestly blew my mind when I read it. So we are currently running on a $120 trillion annual global GDP.
120 trillion. That is just an unfathomable amount of wealth.
Right, but at the exact same time, we fail to secure basic sustenance for 800 million people. And the text points out that fixing that hunger would only cost about $40 billion a year.
Which sounds like a lot until you put it next to 120 trillion.
Exactly. I have to push back on the math here, or rather I want to emphasize it.
Yeah.
40 billion out of 120 trillion is literally pocket change. It's a fraction of a single percent. It's a rounding error.
It really is.
So is the author implying that our emotional baggage, this fear and shame, is the literal roadblock keeping us from solving world hunger, like a $40 billion transaction?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, yes, that is exactly what they're implying. Resource scarcity isn't a math problem or a logistics problem anymore. We have the food, we have the trucks.
So what is it?
It's a psychological problem. It's a trauma problem. When a society is traumatized and locked in zero-sum tribal warfare, it operates from artificial scarcity.
Wow. So we feel like we don't have enough, even when we are swimming in wealth.
Right. Political capital gets spent entirely on defense and culture wars. The trauma literally paralyzes the allocation of resources.
Yeah, it is just, man, that's heavy. So our unresolved generational trauma is literally blinding us to easily solvable global crises.
Yes, and that's why MGM is so desperate for us to find a solution. We have to break the psychological dam holding back those resources.
Okay, so let's get into the author's proposed solution then, because it's arguably the most ambitious thing I've read in a long time.
Oh, it's a massive mandate, a grand unification theory of reality, basically.
Yeah, the author demands, and I'm quoting here, let's interpolate religions, relativity, and quantum mechanics and get on with it.
Get on with it. You can really hear the exasperation there.
Totally. They just want us to gather on the undeniable truths on how reality works, which at first glance sounds like they want to erase religion entirely, right?
It does sound like that, but that's actually not what they're saying at all.
Right, because crucially, MGM advocates for keeping our unique individuality in religious cultures and then extrapolating it however we want in our own backyards.
Yes. The use of the words interpolate and extrapolate here is just brilliant.
Here's where it gets really interesting for me. I was thinking of it like asking the whole world to agree on the core operating system of the universe.
Oh, I like that. An operating system.
Right. Like we all have to agree on the undeniable truths, the physics, the quantum mechanics, that's the core OS, but we don't all have to use the exact same software.
Exactly. You agree on the foundation.
Yeah, you get to customize your own desktop wallpaper, download your own apps, that's your unique culture, your local beliefs, your own backyard.
That's a perfect way to explain interpolate versus extrapolate. To interpolate means combining known data points to find something new, to find the connective tissue.
So blending the hard data of science with the human intuition of religion.
Right. MGM isn't demanding the death of religion. They're demanding a synthesis. They're asking us to zoom out and realize that objective physics and the subjective human experience are part of the same system.
And once you interpolate that core truth, you extrapolate it outward into your own life.
Yeah.
You project it into your own backyard.
Exactly. You build on a shared reality instead of constantly fighting over what the basic reality even is.
Which sounds amazing, but also, incredibly difficult. Because humans hate admitting their historical maps of reality were incomplete.
Oh, we fight it tooth and nail. It requires a massive collective ego death.
It does. But MGM makes it very clear that we don't have time to gently figure this out over the next few centuries. There is a very intense ticking clock here.
The urgency is really the driving force of the entire manifesto.
Yeah. Throughout the text, there's this recurring, desperate motif. They say, it is 2026 for newborn's sake.
Which is such a striking phrase.
It is. And later they say, we get a clear understanding of how reality works by now for all newborns' sake.
Grounding this high-tech anxiety in the most fundamental human instinct we have.
Protecting the young.
Exactly, protecting the newborns. It shifts the argument from an intellectual debate about physics to a primal rescue mission.
So what does this all mean? The final warning from MGM says, we cannot afford to stroll, bickering our way into the age of AGI, automation, quantum computing, biotechnology, and space exploration.
That is a terrifyingly specific list of technologies.
It really is. So I have to ask, if we are entering an era where biotechnology can rewrite life and AGI can outthink us, does our bickering literally threaten the survival of the next generation?
This raises an important question, right? Because these technologies aren't just tools, they are exponential amplifiers.
Amplifiers. Okay, explain that.
If we feed a hyper-advanced, self-improving AGI a societal data set that is completely saturated with guilt, fear, and unresolved generational trauma.
Oh, wow. It's going to learn from that.
Exactly. The AGI will internalize that zero-sum tribalism and apply it at a scale we can't control. We're essentially training a godlike intelligence on our own toxic neuroses.
That is deeply unsettling. And I guess the same goes for biotechnology.
Yes. If the people deciding how to rewrite human genetics are operating from a baseline of historical grievance, the potential for disaster is huge. Entering the age of space exploration and quantum computing with all this unresolved trauma is a recipe for total destabilization.
We're stumbling blindfolded into an era where the margin for error is exactly zero. The technology is not going to wait for us to sort out our emotional baggage.
Right. We cannot afford to stroll into this.
Wow. Okay, let's just recap the journey we've been on today because this was dense.
It was a lot, yeah.
We started by looking at the absurdity of our current situation. We have space servers in orbit, but we're bogged down in flat Earth arguments.
The great juxtaposition.
Exactly. And that cognitive bottleneck creates a toxic exhaust of generational trauma, which leads to this heartbreaking wealth paradox. $120 trillion in GDP. But we're too paralyzed by fear to spend $40 billion to end global hunger.
Because trauma creates artificial scarcity.
Right. And MGM's proposed escape route is this incredible call to interpolate quantum mechanics, relativity, and religion into one shared operating system of reality.
While keeping our unique individuality in our own backyard.
Yes, all driven by the ticking clock of 2026. The absolute necessity to figure this out before AGI and biotech amplify our worst instincts and ruin it for the newborns.
It's a powerful mandate. And it leaves me with a final thought that I think everyone listening should really ponder today.
Let's hear it.
If we do manage to pull this off, if we successfully interpolate science and religion into one undeniable truth to save the next generation,
Yeah.
will that ultimate clarity finally erase our generational trauma? Or will human nature just find a way to invent a brand new, infinitely more complex reality to argue over?
Man, that is a heavy question to sit with. Are we just wired for friction?
It's something we all need to ask ourselves.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the MGM Manifesto. Hopefully, this conversation gave you a sharper lens to view the incredible and, let's face it, pretty stressful trajectory we are on in 2026. Keep your eyes on the space servers, but remember to take a hard look at the undeniable truths in your own backyard. Catch you next time.